This ClaudeDevs post looks small at first glance. It is just one image and one sentence. But the feature behind it is a big step for stateful agents on the Claude platform. Anthropic is putting memory into Claude-managed agents, and not in the vague consumer sense where a chatbot just remembers your name. This is production memory for hosted agents. The official materials say those memories persist across sessions, mount into the agent container like files, and can be managed directly through the API. That matters because long-running agents usually lose hard-won context when a session ends. Teams end up stuffing more and more into prompts or building custom retrieval layers just to preserve what the system already learned. Anthropic is trying to replace that with a first-class memory store. So in this video, I am not replaying a source demo that does not exist. I am doing a source-grounded walkthrough of what the launch image, the official blog, the docs, the engineering post, and Anthropic's own repo actually prove. The launch image is doing a lot of real work here. It shows a managed agent screen with memory stores selected in the sidebar and one active store called Scout Memory. The description under that title is the first concrete claim. It says this store tracks prior tasks, drafts created, user preferences, and account context across sessions. Then the file tree gets more specific. There is a notes folder with user_preferences and recurring_contacts. There is an email_drafts folder with things like reply_to_Sarah and Q2_planning_follow-up. There is a tasks folder plus account_context at the top level. On the right, the selected file is /notes/user_preferences.md. Inside it, you can literally read what the agent remembers. Preferred reply style. Time zone. Signature. A rule that says never auto-send drafts. A daily digest time. A short list of high-priority contacts. That is what makes this screenshot useful. It is not just saying memory exists. It is showing Anthropic's model for memory, structured, human-readable, file-based context that an agent can inspect and update over time. The docs fill in the mechanics that the image hints at. Anthropic says every managed agent's session starts fresh by default. When a session ends, what the agent learned is normally gone. Memory stores are the fix. Each store is a workspace-scoped collection of small text documents optimized for Claude. When you attach one to a session, it mounts into the container as a directory, and the agent reads and writes it with the same ordinary file tools it already uses for the rest of the file system. That detail matters. This is not a special hidden memory API that only Anthropic can inspect. The official docs say the mount lives under /mnt/memory, and the agent can use bash, read, write, edit, glob, and grep against it. Each memory file is capped at 100 kilobytes, so the intended pattern is many small focused files, not one giant brain dump. Stores attach only when the session is created, not halfway through a run. And access can be read only or read write, with a maximum of 8 stores per session. The engineering post is where this launch gets more interesting than a simple memory feature. Anthropic describes managed agents as a hosted runtime built around a few stable interfaces: session, orchestration, harness, sandbox, resources, and tools. Their own diagram puts the harness in the middle, with session state on one side, sandboxed execution on another, orchestration below, and tools plus resources on top through MCP. The table version is even clearer. Session is basically an append-only event log with calls like getSession, getEvents, and initEvent. Orchestration only needs to wake a session and retry if something fails. The sandbox just has to provision resources and execute named actions. Resources are mounted by reference. Tools are defined by name, description, and input schema. Why build it this way? Anthropic says they wanted the brain decoupled from the hands. That lets the harness survive changing models and changing infrastructure. In their own measurements, decoupling the container from the orchestration layer cut P50 time to first token by roughly 60% and P95 by more than 90%. So memory is landing on top of a broader architecture built for long horizon, stateful agent work. The API workflow is also more concrete than the tweet suggests. You create a memory store with a name and a description that is written for the model, not just for humans. You can precede that store with files before any session runs. Then, when you create a session, you attach the store inside the resources array with type memory_store. the store ID, an access mode, and optional instructions that tell the agent how to use it. Once attached, the agent just sees files. Anthropic says stores mount under /mnt/memory/store name and writes from the agent create durable versions the same way host-side updates do. That versioning model is important. Every mutation creates an immutable member snapshot. You can list versions, retrieve an older version, roll back by writing older content back, or redact history when something sensitive should not stay in the log. There is even an optimistic concurrency check. Updates can carry a content SHA-256 precondition, so you do not overwrite a newer write by accident. That is a strong sign this feature is aimed at real production systems, not just toy demos. The strongest product proof in the launch blog is not the interface. It is the use cases and guardrails. Anthropic says teams are already using memory to close feedback loops, speed up verification, and avoid rebuilding their own retrieval infrastructure. Netflix is highlighted for carrying context and human corrections across sessions instead of manually updating prompts and skills. Rakuten says memory helped cut first-pass errors by 97%. WiseDoc says cross-session memory sped document verification up by 30%. And Ando frames it as a way to stop building memory infrastructure and focus on the product. But the docs also give a blunt warning. If an agent processes untrusted input and the store is read right, a successful prompt injection could write malicious content into memory. Future sessions might then read that poisoned content as trusted context. Anthropic's recommendation is simple. Use read only for reference material and shared lookups. Reserve read-write for stores the agent truly needs to modify. So the real story here is not just that memory exists. It is that Anthropic is treating memory as both a product feature and a security boundary. The follow-up thread makes this feel even more official. One reply says memory is workspace scoped and stored as text files that persist across sessions. Another points straight to the docs. A third points to the Anthropic skills repo, where the built-in Claude API skill now has dedicated files for managed agents overview and managed agents memory. In other words, this is not just marketing copy. Anthropic is wiring the feature into docs, code-facing references, and the workflow developers will actually use to learn the API. My verdict is simple. This launch is more important than the one image suggests, but only if you care about real agent operations. If you just want a chatbot that remembers preferences, this is overkill. If you want hosted agents that keep durable, inspectable, auditable context across runs, this is a meaningful release. The most interesting design choice is that memory is portable files, not a mystical hidden state store. That means you can inspect it, export it, version it, scope it, and reason about it like infrastructure. That is the part worth watching.